A researcher walked into a room full of crying babies from around the world. British babies, Canadian babies, Italian babies, all screaming. Then he looked at the Japanese babies in the corner. Quiet, calm, settled. He ran the study 3 more times, same result every time. So he asked the question nobody had asked before. What do Japanese mothers do in the first 90 days of a baby's life that produces this? The answer is 2 words, and by the end of this video, you will know exactly what they are and how to use them tonight. First, the data. Researchers at the University of Warwick analyzed data from over 8,000 infants across multiple countries. They tracked one thing: how much babies cried. British babies cried the most. Canadian babies were a close second. American, Italian, and Dutch babies all ranked high. And at the very bottom of the list, crying the least, fussing the least, with the lowest rates of colic in the world, Japanese babies. Only 2% of Japanese infants had colic in their first 6 weeks. In Canada, that number was over 34%. Same species, same biology, same basic needs. So what is happening differently? Here is the 2-word answer: Amae, Mimamoru. Let me explain both, because understanding these 2 concepts will change the way you look at your baby forever. Amae was first described by Japanese psychiatrist Takeo Doi. It does not translate perfectly into English. The closest version is something like the deep expectation of being understood without having to ask. In Western parenting, the dominant model is this: baby cries, parent responds. The baby learns, I have a voice. I can change my world. This is actually healthy. It builds self-expression. But it also means the baby has to go through distress to get their needs met every single time. Japanese mothers operate on a completely different model. Their goal is not to respond to distress. Their goal is to prevent it. Japanese mothers carry their babies constantly. They co-sleep, they anticipate, they watch. The gap between need and response is so consistently small that the baby's brain wires itself around a completely different baseline. Calm becomes the default. The escalation that other babies develop, Japanese babies simply never needed it to the same degree. The second concept is Mimamoru, watch and protect. It is the practice of observing your baby so closely and so continuously that you begin to read them before they speak, before they cry, before they fuss. You know the micro-signals, the slight tension in the shoulders that comes 3 minutes before hunger hits, the subtle change in breathing that means overstimulation is coming. Most Western parents miss these signals not because they do not care, but because no one ever taught them to look for them. Mimamoru says your baby is always communicating. Your job is to become fluent in a language that has no words. When parents practice this, when they catch the signal before the cry, something profound happens neurologically in the baby. The baby's brain learns something at a cellular level. The world is predictable. The world is responsive. I am safe. This is the neurological foundation of secure attachment, and it turns out it's also the foundation of self-regulation, the ability to manage emotions and stay calm under stress. Skills that show up decades later in school, in relationships, in work, built in the first 90 days by a mother who watched. One more piece of research you can use tonight. Scientists studied exactly what happens physiologically when a mother picks up a crying baby and walks. Not sits, not rocks, walks, with smooth forward movement for 5 minutes. Every single baby in the study stopped crying by the end of those 5 minutes. Every one. When carried by a moving caregiver, heart rate drops, muscle tone decreases, cortisol falls. The baby's nervous system recognizes, I am being carried, I am moving, I am safe. 5 minutes of walking, that's it. Now, Japanese parenting is not realistic for everyone. The level of closeness it requires is genuinely difficult for parents who work, for single parents, for families without support. And the research does show trade-offs. Japanese children develop self-regulation earlier, but independence slightly later. So take the principles, apply what you can. Watch for the micro signals before the full cry. When they are inconsolable, pick them up and walk for 5 minutes. Reduce the gap between need and response by even 30 seconds. And instead of asking, "How do I respond to my baby?" ask, "What does my baby need?" before they tell me. That single shift from reactive to anticipatory, that's the whole philosophy in one question. A crying baby is not a broken baby. A crying baby is a baby whose gap between need and response is too wide. The Japanese figured this out long before the research confirmed it. Not with techniques, with presence, with attention, with the radical act of knowing your baby so well that they never have to ask twice. Subscribe for more on the hidden science of your baby's inner world. See you next time.